Hey everyone, Justin here, and welcome back to another lesson on solving quadratic equations. So far, we've mainly used factoring, which is a great method, but not every quadratic equation is factorable. Today, we'll use a similar process as the one you used to solve the equations in the warm-up, called completing the square to solve equations that can't be factored. Let's get into it. Here's our equation. X squared plus 8x equals 2. My first thought is, could we solve this equation by factoring? If we set it equal to 0, are there two numbers that multiply to -2 and add to 8? Nope, so factoring isn't helpful here. That's where this new method, completing the square, comes in. It allows us to rewrite the left side of the equation as the square of a binomial. That gives the equation the form x plus p squared equals q. Think back to the warm-up you did before starting the video and guided notes. How did you solve those equations? You took the square root of both sides, used inverse operations to isolate the variable, and then found two solutions, one from the positive root and one from the negative root. That's the same strategy we'll use to solve these quadratic equations, once we can get them to look like these warm-up equations. So then, our goal is to get our original equation into the form x plus something squared equals something, so that we can solve it the way we solved our warm-up equations. But how do we do that? In other words, what does completing the square actually mean? Well, what makes a square a square? Right, all of the side lengths are equal. Well, x squared is already a square with side lengths of x, and we can use an area model to represent that. But what about the 8x? How could we extend the side lengths to account for 8x while keeping a square? Pause while you think about this and record your ideas in your guided notes. What if we split 8x in half? 4x and 4x, and added each of those pieces to either side of the x squared box. We've added 8x in total, and each side of the area model is still the same length, x plus 4. That covers the terms on the left side of our original equation, but is it a square? Almost, but not quite. We have to complete it by filling in the empty space in the bottom right corner. What's going to go in that corner? It'll have to be 16, or 4 times 4. Now we have a perfect square. Before we keep going, take another look at how we broke down the 8x to come up with the 16 that completed the square. Can you think of an algebraic process we could follow to complete the square without having to draw the area model every time? In this problem, we split 8 in half to get 4 on the outsides of the area model, then squared 4 to get 16. For any quadratic equation, to complete the square, we can take half of the b value, including its sign, and then square it. You're always welcome to draw the area model to support your thinking, but if the algebraic method works well for you, feel free to use it. So, how can we update our original equation to show the 16 we just added in? We'll add it to the left side so that we can write our perfect square, but since this is an equation, we have to keep it balanced and add it to the right side as well. The left side can now be written as x plus 4 squared, which represents the sides of our area model. If we use the algebraic method of completing the square, the value we get when we divide b by 2, in this case 4 from dividing 8 by 2, will go with the variable in the binomial. The right side will be 18. We converted the equation to the form we needed. Now we can solve it like we solved the ones in the warm-up. Pause now while you do that. We'll start by taking the square root of both sides, giving us x plus 4 equals plus or minus the root of 18, which simplifies to 3 root 2. Since we can't evaluate 3 root 2 any further, we can go ahead and subtract 4 from both sides. That brings us to x equals -4 plus or minus 3 root 2. This represents two solutions to the equation in their simplest form. X equals -4 plus 3 root 2, and x equals -4 minus 3 root 2. Great job. Here's another example. 2x squared plus 9x minus 5 equals -15. What do you notice about this new equation? Pause here and record your thoughts. You probably noticed a couple of things. I noticed that there's a constant on the left side of the equation that wasn't there in our first problem, and that the x squared term has a coefficient of 2, so this isn't a perfect square. We'll have to take care of both of those things in order to complete the square. We can't complete the square with a constant on the left side, so we'll start by moving the -5 to the right side using addition. That gives us 2x squared plus 9x equals -10. Next, we need the x squared term to be a perfect square itself. How can we make that happen? We can divide by 2. That'll give us x squared plus 9/2 x equals -5. X squared is a perfect square, so we're all set to solve by completing the square. Pause here while you give it a shot on your own, either by drawing an area model or using the algebraic method. Remember to find a common denominator when adding or subtracting fractions. To fill in the area model, we start with x squared, with x and x on either side. Then we split up 9/2 x, making, what would that be? Yep, 9/4 x, making each side x plus 9/4. What number do we now need to add in order to complete the square? That would be 9/4 times 9/4, or 81/16. If we were to use the algebraic approach without the area model, we'd split 9/2, the b value, in half to get 9/4, and then square it, still getting 81/16. Now we can add 81/16 to both sides of the equation, which allows us to rewrite the left side as x plus 9/4 squared. After converting -5 to -80/16 to get a common denominator, we can simplify the right side and get 1/16. To solve, we'll take the square root of both sides. The left side becomes x plus 9/4, and on the right side, the square root of 1 is 1, and the square root of 16 is 4. So we have plus or minus 1/4 there. Then we subtract 9/4 from both sides to get x equals -9/4 plus or minus 1/4. -9/4 plus 1/4 is -8/4, and -9/4 minus 1/4 is -10/4. Simplifying both fractions gives us our final answer of x equals -5/2 and -2. Try a couple more problems on your own before we wrap up here. Solve each equation by completing the square and come back when you're ready to check your work. Here's the work for number 3. We start by completing the square, which requires us to add 49/4 to both sides. Then we solve for k. We continue to simplify each answer and get k equals -10 and 3. Remember, when we end up working with fractions, it's important to square and take the square root of both the numerator and the denominator, and to make a common denominator when adding or subtracting. As for number 4, this time we start by subtracting 18 and dividing by 3 on both sides. Then we solve for w. Splitting up 5 plus or minus 4 gives us the solutions 1 and 9. It's important here to remember to divide each term by 3 before beginning to complete the square, and to pay attention to the sign of the b value. Feel free to pause or rewind if you'd like to change or add anything in your notes. Great work today. Now we have another method in our toolkits that we can use to solve quadratic equations when factoring isn't possible. When solving quadratic equations by completing the square, remember to divide out the leading coefficient if it's greater than 1, use the area model or algebraic method to complete the square, and consider both the positive and negative roots. If you'd like some extra review, be sure to check out the QR codes at the end of your guided notes. Stay curious, and I'll see you next time.
Hey, hey.